あれはね、冠の大物で気持ちが興奮したらブワってなる。今興奮してる。あくちゃん、あくちゃん、
あくちゃん。
見てる。
うん。
大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん。あ、取ったよ、すごいさ。レイちゃん、レイちゃん。大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん。
文句はイエーイ大ちゃんイエーイこんにちはこんにちは大ちゃんどこ行くの？おこんにちは、こんにちは、大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん、大ちゃん、
Howdy, how's it going? Thanks for joining me. My name's Zav and this is my channel Birdfari. So today I'd like to talk about the white cockatoo, otherwise known as the umbrella cockatoo. And honestly, I think umbrella cockatoo is a much better name because there are 21 species of cockatoo and 13 of them are predominantly white. So yeah, it seems somewhat redundant to call it a white cockatoo, but also the name doesn't stand out because it's easy to get confused with all the other white cockatoos, such as the sulfur-crested cockatoo. Before focusing on umbrella cockatoos more generally, I just want to pay my respects to Duster. He was a legendary umbrella cockatoo that passed away last year, age 99. So there is his Duster's background, somewhat hazy. The background information on Duster may be somewhat unreliable. I'll explain in a minute, but here's what I found out. Regarding the oldest living cockatoo, there is quite a bit of conjecture and contradictory reports, and of course many of the supposed oldest birds can't be confirmed. So in the Guinness Book of Records, the oldest confirmed living parrot and cockatoo was named Cookie. That was a Major Mitchell's cockatoo, or pink cockatoo. They're from the desert region of Australia. And Cookie passed away in 2016 at the age of 83. So it's confirmed because that Cookie has been a resident, or was a resident at Brookfield Zoo in Chicago from 1934 until 2016. The oldest unconfirmed cockatoo was called Cocky Bennett, and that was a sulfur-crested cockatoo who died in 1916 at a reported age of 120. 1916, so over 100 years ago. Lived at various hotels around Sydney after its original owner died. He was known for his colourful language and chronic case of PBFD, cystine beak and feather disease. So Cocky Bennett was actually completely bald, but apparently Cookie was, in good health. So as for Duster, I wanted to read a bit about Duster because Duster passed away just last year, March 27th, 2024. If they could confirm Duster's age, then Duster would be the oldest living cockatoo. But this is the best information I could get, and I can see some of the information I can see can't be completely correct, so I'll explain later. But this is the message. This is from Florida Parrot Rescue Post. So Florida Parrot Rescue, they looked after Duster for its last 11 years. So they received Duster in 2013. Okay, so this is the message that they posted following Duster's passing last year. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have many heavy hearts as we share the passing of Duster, the famous cockatoo. He was shy of his 100th birthday. He passed away peacefully at his forever home with us, human mum and dad, Jenny and Vice President and her husband Owen. For those of you who are not familiar with Duster, we share his story and some photos. So yeah, there are many photos of Duster that you can find online, and also there are some videos from when Duster was performing in Florida from the 1970s and 1980s. Duster, the umbrella cockatoo, was born on the 1st of June 1925. Okay, so if that's accurate, then Duster was just shy of 99. Yeah. He passed away in March last year, so if he was born June 1st, 1925, then he was almost 99. Some say it's impossible, but his history goes way back. He was wild caught in Australia. Now this is the part of the story which is absolutely incorrect, because Duster was a umbrella cockatoo, white cockatoo, and umbrella cockatoos don't live in Australia. The majority of cockatoo species are from Australia, but umbrella cockatoos are from a small group of islands in Indonesia. But I'll talk more about their native habitat later. So anyway, I can confirm that this wording right here is incorrect. Perhaps Duster was wild caught on one of those islands in Indonesia, but anyway, not wild caught in Australia. Not possible. Okay, I'll continue. The rest of the story might be true. Then transferred to the United States to the California coast, taking up residency at SeaWorld, training and educating people about his breed. Eventually, he moved to the Sunshine State, Florida, where he took up residence in Weeki Wachee and was the star of the bird show in the 1970s, riding his birdie bicycle and skates too. He was quite the performer. Weeki Wachee became Silver Springs, downsizing to a nature park without animals. So, in early 2013, one of the lead entertainers from Silver Springs Nature Park relinquished Duster to Florida Parrot Rescue. We are so grateful to have chosen to care for him and had his time with him. He will be missed by all. Fly high, Duster. We love you.
You heard right. Duster turns 89 this year, a senior citizen living happily with her new adoptive mom.
Give me a kiss.
Jenny Perry, a Florida Parrot Rescue, says from what they know, Duster was captured from the wild in Australia, trained in California, and ended up in Florida.
One morning I said good morning, waved, and Duster waved back at me. Say hi.
Ruby Turner and Dana Proger know that wave.
This is where the old bird show used to be.
Back in the 70s, they worked with all the birds at Weeki Wachee. They say Duster was the star of the exotic bird show.
He rode the bicycle and the roller skates every show. We would hold him and we'd say, get ready, set, go, and we'd let go of the bike and he'd pedal as fast as he could to the other side.
He was a really good performer. He really enjoyed getting up there and doing his thing.
And Dana really enjoyed Duster.
So when you got married in '82, Duster was like your bird of honor.
He was.
Full of mischief, too.
One time he got out of his cage and he crawled along the wire and unlocked all the cages and let all the birds out.
Which apparently Duster still does, all these years later. And they're a long-term responsibility. Duster is living proof.
I've known him since 1976, and so it was good to know that someone was out there taking care of him. Good girl.
I'm Cynthia Smoot, Fox 13 News.
So, yeah, I have no way of knowing that Duster was 98 or 99, as they say. I can only confirm that there's no way Duster was wild caught in Australia in 1925. It's very possible that he was sent from Australia in 1925 and caught in the wild, that same year. But or maybe he was bred at a zoo in Australia, maybe Taronga Zoo in Sydney, because there was a lot of animal transfer. I mean, still now, but even going back 100 years ago, a lot of animals were transferred from Taronga Zoo in Sydney to Hawaii and California. So it's possible that he was from Taronga Zoo in Sydney 100 years ago. Anyway, undoubtedly Duster was a very, very old bird. At least it seems he was, performing regularly in the 1970s in Florida, and before that in SeaWorld in California. Unfortunately, they don't write when he arrived at SeaWorld in California. If they'd written the date when Duster arrived at SeaWorld in California, then it would be easier to confirm how old he is. So I guess the Guinness Book of Records, they don't consider that there's enough information on Duster to confirm his age. But it's very possible that Duster was the oldest living cocky, and cockatoos do tend to live longer in captivity than they do in the wild, because of course in the wild, you have predators, eagles, some large owls can take them out. Actually, in their native islands, talking about the umbrella cockatoo, in one of their strongholds now, the Bacan Island, this is in Indonesia near New Guinea, they've introduced a monkey species which is very proliferated there. And monkeys, they'll eat cockatoo eggs. They can kill a cockatoo. So yeah, there are various predators, and of course humans trapping them. And of course many parrots can succumb to disease, just as that other cockatoo I mentioned before. So Cocky Bennett, who supposedly 120, but I doubt it was that old. But there are photos of that, even though this is 100 years ago. There are cockatoos of it because it was a famous cockatoo at various hotels around Sydney, and you can see that it was completely bald. So that poor cockatoo, Cocky Bennett, unfortunately had PBFD, which one of the main causes of death for various cockatoos and other parrots, cystocine beak and feather disease. So the main focus of my video, the white cockatoo, or the name I prefer, umbrella cockatoo, they are a medium-sized all-white cockatoo endemic to tropical rainforest on islands of Indonesia. When surprised, it extends a large and striking head crest. Yeah, the striking head crest is that umbrella shape, which has a semicircular, similar to an umbrella, hence the alternative name. Okay, the wings and the tail have a pale yellow or lemon color, which is exposed when they fly. So actually there is a little bit of yellow in them, as with the other cockatoos that are predominantly white. It is similar to other species of white cockatoo, such as the yellow-crested cockatoo, sulphur-crested cockatoo, and salmon-crested cockatoo, all of which have yellow, orange, or pink crest feathers instead of white. It's also known as the Ayab, that is a Burmese language from Papua, Indonesia. So the white cockatoo, umbrella cockatoo, was first described in 1776 by German zoologist Philipp Ludwig Statius Müller. So that was about 250 years ago when they, officially got described. But in fact, they've been known by humans going much further back, and it would seem that the umbrella cockatoo is actually the most well-known cockatoo in human history. Again, to me, why it's even more surprising that there are virtually no podcasts, no videos on YouTube talking about the white cockatoo, umbrella cockatoo's history. There's plenty of videos talking about them as pets and how to take care of them, but I'm fascinated in the total story behind them. And yeah, I couldn't find a single video of a truly wild umbrella cockatoo. There are some videos or photos of white cockatoos in Taiwan and Hawaii. I'll get to that later. But so the umbrella cockatoo, it goes all the way with a human relationship with humans, goes all the way back to the Tang Dynasty. So they were quite popular in China during the Tang Dynasty, which was 618 AD to 907 AD. So that goes back 1,400 years. 1,400 years ago, they were well liked in China, and China's quite far from their native habitat in eastern Indonesia, near New Guinea. So incredible, and a fact which in turn influenced the depictions of Guan Yin, with a white parrot. Okay, and aside from China, China wasn't the only place where umbrella cockatoos were, well loved or known about. During the Fourth Crusade, so Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II and the Sultan of Babylon, so this was in the Middle East, that was signed with a gift of a white cockatoo in 1229. That was 800 years ago. Amazing. They say lifespan in the wild is unknown. I mean, very, very little is known about umbrella cockatoos in the wild. It seems, I'm amazed that there hasn't been any thorough research on them. Again, considering they're such a popular bird. They say, it's thought that they live up to 10 years less in the wild. And that makes sense. That's true for many birds, many parrots, because of course in the wild you have predators. Distribution: endemic to lowland tropical rainforest on the Moluccan Islands of Halmahera and Bacan, Ternate, Tidor, Kasiruta, and Mandioli. The two largest islands where they occur are Halmahera, and Halmahera is 17,780 square kilometers. But the population of Halmahera has been increasing dramatically. So 30 years ago, in 1995, the human population was 162,000, and by 2010 it had increased to 449,000. And then the latest information is the population in 2024, 667,000. So considering the population has increased fivefold in 30 years, and considering the deforestation in various Indonesian islands, and considering the pressures, logging, mining, and then also illegal trading in wildlife, poaching, and capturing birds from the wild for export. Considering all that, I would say the population on Halmahera is at great risk. I mean, overall, they are listed as endangered. They've been listed as endangered for a long time. Then looking at the second largest island where they occur, that is Bacan. And Bacan, the current population is 82,000, so a much smaller population there. But the size of the island is 2,719 square kilometers, so significantly smaller than the Halmahera. And fortunately, Bacan is still mostly rainforest and mostly undeveloped. So I guess this would be one of the best strongholds, or the best chance the umbrella cockatoos have of maintaining a viable population in the wild. However, on Bacan Island and some neighboring islands, the introduced Salmon-crested macaque is surely taking a toll. At least it would be, predating on cockatoo eggs. So curiously, the Salmon-crested macaque, so this is a monkey, old world monkey from Sulawesi, and they are listed as critically endangered. And apparently in Sulawesi, their total population is estimated at between 4,000 and 6,000. So they're considered, critically endangered because their population collapsed there due to hunting, due to deforestation, maybe pet trade as well. But surprisingly, there's a booming population of these macaques on Bacan, over 100,000 of them, even though Bacan is a relatively small island. And as I said before, Bacan is probably the best chance that umbrella cockatoos have of maintaining a viable wild population, because currently the island is still mostly rainforest. And then on Bacan, which probably still will be the best chance they have for long-term survival, now they have to deal with a new introduced predator. But the new introduced predator, Salmon-crested macaque, which is critically endangered in its native habitat, but has a massive population on introduced Bacan, they are surely predating on cockatoo eggs. So, yeah, that's a big concern. I mean, specifically on Bacan, I wish that there was some research to look into what impact 100,000 of these introduced monkeys are having on the native umbrella cockatoo population, because I'm pretty sure it's having some impact. Their conservation status: the white cockatoo is considered endangered by the IUCN. Its numbers in the wild have declined owing to capture for the cage bird trade and habitat loss. It is listed in Appendix 2 of the CITES list, which gives it protection by restricting export and import of wild caught birds. BirdLife International indicates that catch quotas issued by the Indonesian government were exceeded by up to 18 times in some localities in 1991, with at least 6,600 umbrella cockatoos being taken from the wild by trappers. Although fewer birds have been taken from the wild in recent years, both in numerical terms and when taken as a proportion of the entire population. RSPCA-supported surveys by the Indonesian NGO Profauna suggest that significant levels of trade in wild-caught white cockatoos still occur, with 200 plus taken from the wild in northern Halmahera in 2007. Approximately 40% of the parrots, white cockatoos, approximately 40% of the parrots caught in Halmahera were smuggled to the Philippines, while approximately 60% go to the domestic Indonesian trade, especially via bird markets in Surabaya and Jakarta. I just mentioned before, you have that macaque species from Sulawesi, which is critically endangered, and ironically it's doing very well in the introduced Bacan Island, and so that's good for that species, but it might not be good for the umbrella cockatoo, which is the focus of this video. The most obvious example when it comes to cockatoos is the yellow-crested cockatoo in Hong Kong, and I have actually seen these cockatoos. You can see them quite easily on Hong Kong Island, on the foothills of Victoria Peak. There's various botanical gardens and parks and gardens on those hills where you can see flocks of these yellow-crested cockatoos and the subspecies from an island in Indonesia. And yeah, this feral population in Hong Kong, there's some research. There's a lady from Hong Kong University who's focused on researching these cockatoos, and she thinks, and I think, she's doing proper research, but I also had the idea when I saw this population that these cockatoos could be very important for the future of the species. So if you're a hardcore conservationist, you'd say, well, no species of animal or plant should be introduced where they're non-native, because of course they can do damage to native animals. But humans, essentially there's no part of Earth that's really untouched by humans now. And some research in the Amazon has suggested that even the Amazon rainforest, much of the plants and animals there were not originally from the Amazon rainforest. So this is controversial research that suggests that the Amazon is sort of the most amazing botanical gardens ever planted, because early humans there brought other plant species and along with it animal, bird, insect species from other regions such as Central America and parts of southern United States. As they moved across the Americas, they cultivated various edible food, plant and vegetable species that did well in the Amazon. So now what is thought of as native to the Amazon may in fact be introduced species that were brought there thousands of years ago from the first peoples there. So in the case of the umbrella cockatoo, it may not be as pertinent because there are still several thousand of these wild birds in their native habitat, although they are endangered there. But it's fascinating to me that there are small feral populations of these incredible birds in Hawaii and also Taiwan. So if you're into birds, of course, one of the best websites is eBird, and you'll need an account on eBird to access the various distribution maps and information, photos, whatnot. Interestingly, with endangered species or birds that are considered, at risk, when you zoom in on their, recorded listings of the birds, as you zoom in, they tend to not pinpoint the locations for you if the bird is considered a highly sensitive species, because of course they're trying to protect them from being trapped. So that is the umbrella cockatoo is in that category. So if you zoom in on their native habitat in Indonesia, you find that all the recorded listings, when you zoom in, they go blurry, so you can't actually see, what year, where, and you can't see the photos when they were taken. About the introduced population in Hawaii, where I have some more information. Again, on eBird.org, it seems that the population of white cockatoos in Hawaii is probably doing much better. The population of umbrella cockatoos living in Hawaii seems to be mostly concentrated around the southeastern side of Oahu Island, and many of the sightings are fairly close to Honolulu. Probably the best place to see wild umbrella cockatoos in Hawaii would be at the Leon Arboretum. That's botanical gardens managed by the University of Hawaii at Manoa, in the upper end of Manoa Valley. And so that's only about 8 or 9 kilometers from Honolulu. And yeah, a lot of the listings on eBird.org are from this location, including this year, 2025, several listings. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think one of on my bucket list is to see a wild umbrella cockatoo. Probably it's much more realistic for me to just fly to Hawaii and take a bus or take a bicycle from Honolulu and go to the Leon Arboretum to try and spot one of the umbrella cockatoos there. At the most recent listings in 2025, I can see up to 5 birds at a time are often spotted. So I guess there's not a big flock of them there, but several of these birders have spotted 5 or more of them around similar locations. And most of the listings that I can see are from 2021 to 2025, so over the last 4 years. Several of them list around 5 birds. Others of them, the oldest listing I can find back to 2019, and in those locations just 1 bird. The oldest listing on eBird.org, it goes back to 2006, so that's about 20 years ago. So I have no idea when this population got established, but at least they've been spotted in and around southeastern Oahu for the almost 20 years. The oldest listing goes back to Diamond Head Crater Park, but curiously there are no listings from Diamond Head in recent years. So all the more recent listings are slightly north of that, around the Honolulu Watershed Forest Reserve and the Waimaniau Forest Reserve, in the sort of hilly mountainous area around there. Now, to me, the most interesting part of this is that it appears umbrella cockatoos are hybridizing with salmon-crested cockatoos. So I guess Americans say salmon. Sorry, I'm Australian, so my pronunciation is closer to the British one. Salmon. whichever you like. But there seems to be a bigger population of salmon-crested cockatoos in Hawaii. So looking at those ones, found not only in Oahu, but also on the island of Kauai from 2013. So 12 years ago, there's a listing of a wild salmon-crested cockatoo there. But the vast majority of salmon-crested cockatoos, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused switching between the American pronunciation and the British pronunciation. I think I should just stick with the one I'm comfortable with. So yeah, salmon-crested cockatoos, they're found around Oahu. So as with the umbrella cockatoo, mostly in the southeast. So same general area. Also often spotted in the Leon Arboretum and also around the Waimaniau Forest Reserve and the Honolulu Watershed Forest Reserve, those kind of mountainous regions, around 10 kilometers or 8 miles northeast of Honolulu. But salmon-crested cockatoos, there's also a bunch of listings from the northeast of Oahu. It seems that the salmon-crested cockatoo has a wider distribution, and possibly they've spread out across Oahu. So the most fascinating thing, which I only realized today, even though I've been somewhat obsessed with umbrella cockatoos for quite a while, is that they appear to be crossbreeding with the salmon-crested cockatoos. So there's a new page dedicated to these hybrids. So now looking at the hybrids between the white umbrella cockatoo and the salmon-crested cockatoo, a bunch of these in recent years, again from the same area, so southeastern Oahu. But the first one ever recorded goes back to 1992, so 33 years ago. That's at Alaha Moana Park and State Recreation Area. That's fairly close to Waikiki, so that's a long time ago. There's no photo of that bird, so it's hard to tell. That might have been an escaped pet or escaped from one of the resorts there. That's very close to the Hilton Hawaiian Village, Waikiki Beach Resort. And yeah, all of the recent listings are, about 8 to 10 kilometers to the north of that area. So who knows what happened to that bird, but it is listed as a hybrid. So that's interesting to me because, the vast majority of these listings of the hybrid white and salmon-crested cockatoos are all from the last 2 or 3 years, but there's one that goes back 33 years. That might be an anomaly, it might be a mistake, I don't know. But some observer, his name David Henderson, so he first recorded, apparently, if this information is correct, over 33 years ago. So if you do a Google search on these hybrids, very, very little information comes up. I don't know, maybe they're trying to keep this information a secret. It's fascinating to me. But then I see, so in the Manoa Cliffs Trail, this is, north of Honolulu, several of them listed there in 2022, 2023, and 2024. Then you have 2023, there were 4 of these hybrids listed. Whereabouts was that? This is in that same general region, but closer to the Honolulu Watershed Forest Reserve. And then another one this year. Yeah, I can see a bunch of listings from various people, and All of these listings are between 1 and 4 birds of these hybrids. So then you can even see some photos of them if you go through the listings. So some people have recorded both separately umbrella cockatoos and salmon-crested cockatoos and the hybrids in the same listings. So yeah, it seems that all three combinations are occurring in southeastern Oahu. You've got umbrella cockatoos breeding with umbrella cockatoos, you've got salmon-crested cockatoos and salmon-crested cockatoos breeding together, and you've got pairs of them hybridizing. Who knows, if this continues, if these hybrids continue to breed, and if their offspring are able to have offspring of their own, then it's possible a new species of cockatoo will occur in Hawaii over the coming decades. But yeah, as it stands currently, there's very, very little information on this. Only a bunch of photos and a bunch of listings on ebird.org. So I'll be keeping a close eye on that. And yeah, I would love to see them for myself in the flesh. So yeah, I know some people get very excited about the idea of bringing back the dodo, or there's been so much research and so much money spent on trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. And recently there's articles about Peter Jackson, the famous New Zealand movie director, who's most well known for the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit movies, plus he did a remake of King Kong. His latest project is he wants to help bring back the moa, the largest flightless bird that went extinct about 700 or 800 years ago. So yeah, there's various projects to try and bring back extinct species, and my thinking is I hope that we can maintain the species that we've got. And so there are many amazing species. In my previous video I talked about the Spix macaw, and I was focusing on the movie Rio, 2011 animated movie Rio, on that one. So these are among my favorite birds: cockatoos, macaws, toucans, and other parrots. And yeah, I think it's a pity that there's so much money and time invested in trying to bring back extinct species. I would like to see that money spent on keeping animals, maintaining species that we've got, and preventing them from going from extinction. In the case of Peter Jackson's goal to bring back the moa to New Zealand, of course, I'm sure some people would disagree with me, but I think it would be smarter to try and introduce, emus to New Zealand, because emus from Australia are very, closely related species, And, for example, the Tasmanian emu went extinct. There are other subspecies of emu that went extinct. And I think you can just, reintroduce other subspecies from Australia, definitely to Tasmania, and also some of the islands in the Bass Strait, where I think the King Island emu also went extinct, another subspecies. But, New Zealand's fairly far from Australia, but I think it would be more realistic and smarter to try and introduce emus as a substitute for the moa to New Zealand. So as for umbrella cockatoos, it's I very much hope that they can be preserved in their native islands in Indonesia. But if they're able to have a stronghold in Hawaii, and if they're not, adversely impacting native species too much, I think that would be wonderful. And also it would give people an appreciation for this amazing species, aside from all the cute, umbrella cockatoo videos, people's private pets and the umbrella cockatoos we can see at zoos. I think it would be a wonderful education for people to be able to see umbrella cockatoos in the wild. So that's why I'm kind of happy that there's a population of them, feral population, established in Hawaii, in Oahu. And it's a little bit exciting that there's maybe a new species being created. I think it's very likely that the hybrid cockatoos in Oahu would be able to create a new species, because the umbrella cockatoo and salmon-crested cockatoo in Indonesia, they're from islands that are very close together. So even though they don't quite overlap in the wild, the islands are so close that they would be the closest living relatives of each other. They should be able to breed no problem. And well, they are breeding. The question is, will this create a new species? And I'm just a layman bird nerd, amateur bird nerd. There are surely ornithologists and people who know much more about this than me. But since there are no other videos talking about this on YouTube, I figured I may as well be the first one. Maybe this will get a conversation going, and some other people who know about those cockatoos in Hawaii can maybe inform me, leave a comment, help educate me, and maybe we can go deeper on this topic. It's fascinating to me, and it's exciting to me. Yeah, I definitely want to see these cockatoos with my own eyes. And Japan, not that far away from Hawaii. There are plenty of flights from Japan to Hawaii, so I figure I should be able to get over there and check them out for myself. And very, very exciting. And of course, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, mostly filmed in Hawaii, and people travel to Hawaii to see the locations where Jurassic Park was filmed. And Jurassic Park, total fiction by Michael Crichton, again, this idea of bringing back extinct species. And yet, birds are essentially dinosaurs, or they're the closest living evolved species from dinosaurs. So they often say that birds are living dinosaurs. And umbrella cockatoos, the most charismatic, humorous, highest EQ bird species I can think of. Maybe some people disagree. Maybe African grey parrot, the Kia, New Caledonian crow, maybe, depending whatever your cup of tea is. But yeah, as a species, umbrella cockatoos, they seem hilarious. They're like natural-born comedians. And yeah, no wonder Jim Carrey based his Ace Ventura character off of parrots, and I wouldn't be surprised if an umbrella cockatoo, maybe even Duster, the legendary cockatoo that passed away last year, who was living in Florida where they filmed Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Maybe another connection there. Who knows? I'm letting my imagination go wild here, but truth stranger than fiction. I love these stories of nature where the lines between reality and fiction are blurred, and where These are stories that get me truly excited, such as that wild population of yellow-crested cockatoos in Hong Kong, which someday might be able to save the species in its native Indonesia, and possibly something similar could happen with the population of cockatoos in Hawaii, or it might go off on a different tangent and we might have a whole new species created. To me, that's much more exciting than, Jurassic World, Jurassic Park. But anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good one. Take it easy. Ciao for now.